Hey, this is Matt. Once again, we're about to videos, another paid request. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topic review, tier list review, commentary, video game playthrough, whatever the case may be, PayPal is usually the best bet with the friends and family option. Seems like that's how PayPal works best. Or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under most of these videos. So, Silent Night, the new John Woo film. It's funny because a lot of people do not like this movie. It's like a 5.3, 5.49 to B. It barely cracked the top 10 on the opening weekend. I think it was at number 9. A lot of people don't like the film because they feel it's generic, that there's not much style. They don't really care for it. So I went into this with very low expectations. And I love John Woo. Hard Target, one of my favorites of all time. Love Hard Boiled, Bullet in the Head. Really like that stuff. Broken Arrow. To be honest, the guy has not made a good film in a long time. The last film I liked of his was Paycheck, which that's another film a lot of people didn't like, but I quite liked that movie. So, Silent Night, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out to be. Now, granted, it is a very straightforward story. It's not original at all in terms of the story, except for the gimmick. Because there's only so many times you can make a revenge story. Even going back to the days of the Kung Fu films. You killed my master, it's time to die. Motherfucker. I'm a sucker for those kind of stories. Whether it be, hell, I like the Death Wish remake with Bruce Willis. And that's what kind of reminded me of that vein. Which is another film people didn't like, but I thought was pretty good. It's not the big balls to the wall return of John Woo. If you're expecting that, you're going to be gravely disappointed. It's much more, it's weird to say grounded, but it's more, it's you're not going to get the ballet action that you got back in the day. But for a film in today's age, number one, I thought Joel Kinnaman did a bang-up job. Where he's got to express all of his emotions, angst, anger, sadness, without being able to speak. And this is a guy that I gave crap to with the RoboCop remake. Although, granted, nobody could have made that film work, being that shitty RoboCop. But I liked Joel Kinnaman in the new Suicide Squad film. I liked him in this movie. I thought he did a really good job. I really liked the gimmick that it's a silent film. Because that made it seem a bit different. That made it seem a bit unique. That made it seem a bit more refreshing for a revenge story. Well, they didn't do anything with it. Well, I disagree. I thought there was some... The John Woo, like people said, oh, there's no style. I don't know what they're talking about with no style. I have no idea what they're talking about. There's a lot of style in this movie. I'm like, what are people talking about? Scene transitions. I'll get to that in a minute. It's a good looking movie, some really nice cinematography. I think Joel Kinnaman did a great job. I think it was nice to see how to tell a story without dialogue, and still it made sense. I really felt for the main character. I felt his emotions. I rooted for him to get his revenge. And while I do have issues with the film, I think a good 10 minutes could have been tightened up. Just the first half is a build-up. But I think in that first half, like I said, there's about 10 minutes you could shorten. I'm always action hungry, so I'm always down for more action. But like I said, I thought that there's a story, like when it says very simple, it's Joel Kinnaman, it's his son's birthday, he's with him, his son, his wife. There's a drive-by where two gangs are fighting each other in two different cars. A bullet hits his son. He goes off to get revenge. During the midst of it, he gets wounded in the neck, so he can't talk. And again, it's done with very little to no dialogue, and yet it was able to convey this story with some really good directing choices and techniques. I think there was some really solid action in the third act of the movie, kind of like the last 40 minutes. Like I say, if you're expecting hard-hearted, hard-boiled, you're not going to get that. But people are going to be pissed at me. This was a version of Death Sentence that I liked a lot more. What? I know, I don't hate Death Sentence. Kevin Bacon does a really good job in that. But that's another film about a father whose son is murdered, and he goes off in revenge. But the way that story was told annoyed me. And I thought was, for the most part, more satisfying in this movie. I know people will say I'm crazy. In Death Sentence, Tim Bacon again does a great job, but I thought Joel Kinnaman did a great job here. That one, there's some nice directing motifs by the director James Wan, just like here with John Woo. But that one, with Death Sentence, again, I don't mind the film. But first off, Kevin Bacon would go and kill people. Okay, it's a revenge movie. But then his choices got most of his family, the rest of his family, killed. So he didn't do that on purpose. It's the bad guy's fault. But at the same time, because he was being irresponsible or how he didn't do things the right way, it still led up to most of his family being murdered too. When in your head you're thinking he should have just let this go. And you say, well, that's the whole point of the movie, is that revenge isn't the answer. You just let it go. But at the same time, I get that, but in a way that's not really what the audience is wanting for the most part. Not to speak for everybody, but a good chunk of the audience doesn't really want that when they see these type of movies. And then that message gets muddled when in the third act, you have this nicely done action that looks cool and bloody and gory, but then at the same time, James Wan wants to say that's a bad thing. And then he's with the bad guy, and then it cuts away from the guy dying. Here, at least, you do see the guy dying. Here, it's a cutaway. And so, like I said, a father mourning his son, but at the same time, the way that story was told, where he got most of his other family killed, and it wants to be preachy, anti-revenge, but then it wants to throw on the style, cool moments of revenge, so that gets a bit shit, it didn't quite gel together. I thought it gelled more in this, because John Woo decided to make it more straightforward. I thought actually that was the benefit of it. And again, people saying that this doesn't have style, I don't know what movie they saw. There's cool scene transitions. Like there's a bit where his wife is sad and is tearing, and when the tear falls, it cuts to a bullet falling to the ground. So her tear falls, and then it cuts to a bullet dropping while our lead character's at a shooting range. There's early on when Joel Kinnaman's in a hospital, and the wife's sad, and she's in the hallway. So the scene pans, and you're in the middle, on the wall. But when it pans to the wall, you see, the blip that you don't want the flat line, or it's a bad day. And then it keeps panning, and then we're in the other room. So there's stuff like that happens that has some style. The action scenes, when they're for the most part pretty fun and exciting. Doesn't change the wheel of action, far from it. But I thought it worked well for the story. Got some fuck yeah moments. A chunk of it you saw in the trailer, to be fair, but sadly that's most trailers nowadays. That's why I'm just at a point where I just don't want to see any fucking trailers anymore. Because they always give away everything in the movie. And like I said, I liked the gimmick of everything being silent, so that made it feel more refreshing, made it feel a bit different. Like I said, the first half, it's this guy. I really did a sense of his turmoil. I really did a sense of his anger, and the fact that Joel Kinnaman is able to play that all without dialogue, and it's just based on cinematography, the direction. Like I said, made it feel. I keep saying different, refreshing. With the amount of movies I watch nowadays, I look towards stuff like that. I really do. And they get more spoilers starting now. The first thing we see is Joel Kinnaman running, because this is after what's happened to his kid. Then we see later on a flashback of what happened in detail. But he's running towards these guys, and you get this nice action sequence where he gets the thing, he hits the car, he runs for it. You get some really nice looking shots where the car's getting closer and closer to Joel Kinnaman, and there's a vehicle with ahead of him. I forget what it's called. You know the palace they raise, but you have the two steel things jutting out. Well, you see Joel Kinnaman jump up on over it, and the bad guys come in, and when they hit it, one of those fucking proms decapitates a guy. I went, oh shit! All right, right off the bat, he got like one or two guys. All right, cool, and we gotta recap the decap. And then a bad guy comes in and shoots the guy in the neck, wounds him. That's another thing. People say, oh, the film's racist because the bad guys are the Mexican cartel. As if they don't fucking exist. Sorry is not another Russian. Like, there was a guy that's like, oh, okay, he thinks John Wick 4 is the best action movie of the year. But then during his review, he's bitching about how this film is racist because he's using Mexicans. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You said your favorite action film of the year is John Wick 4. So is that film racist? Does it deal with Russians? Like Scott Adkins' character? Straight out of Dick Tracy? Dick Tracy? Listen, if you don't like the film or if you like the film, that's fine. But some of the reasons I just don't understand. No, the film's not fucking racist. It's fucking stupid. If you don't like the film because you thought it was boring, teach their own. I didn't think that. Like I said, I think the first half, I did what it was trying to do with the slow build up. Granted, we've seen it before, so it's not original. I can understand that critique. I can. Again, I think about 10 minutes could have been shaved off. But I say it's the whole. It depends how you feel about the gimmick of no dialogue. If you don't give a shit, it's not going to appeal to you. I did, and I thought it made it feel a bit. And I thought it did a nice job really making me feel for this guy. His anger, his angst. I was with him when he's getting drunk, when his wife doesn't know how to talk to him, so he's trying to text him, and we see the texts. Like I said, you get some really nice transitions. We see how he's cut off from his wife, and ultimately his wife leaves him, but you can still tell that she cares for him. And you see that he's training himself. So all the people that find these movies, oh, it's so unrealistic. How does he become such a superhero? Or how does he become such a this? You see extensively his training. The shooting range. Watching videos. Train with a knife. Working out. How it takes months to train himself into it. At one point he almost confronts a guy with a knife, but he sees there's other kids around, so he puts it away. And also you see him trying to do the right thing. Like when the action really kicks in, there's a female cop in trouble, and he tries to help as he's going around doing these donuts, shooting at these bad guys. When the action scenes are there, I liked them. There was this nice brutal fight in the kitchen that goes from the garage all the way to the kitchen. There's this detective that we see. We don't get a lot of exposition. That's another thing that was nice. Because there's no dialogue, I don't have to hear a bunch of bullshit exposition where people just droning on about shit we've heard 50 times. Like, because you have no dialogue, I don't have to hear all this bullshit exposition. I'm like, I get it. That guy's a cop. He's looking into this. He's going to help out a bit. Our lead guy, the bad guys, they're bad guys. Why? Because they're fucking bad. And they got tattoos on their face. That's all I need to know. I think Joel Kinnaman knocked it out of the park with this. I really do. I think it's the best performance I've seen the guy do, especially when he doesn't have dialogue to work with. This one moment where as he's ready to go into his journey for the night, he kind of finds his wife who's in another apartment and he smiles. And then you tell he gets sad because you get the idea that this guy is too far gone. He's too broken. He's too broken. The piece is not put back together again. There's no way it can. There are times he has this little thing his kid had that he listens to the music from time to time. I like the cinematography, the camera work. I thought it was really well done. I think the action is handled well, where I didn't find confusing shaky cam or there's CG used for bullet hits. It seems like every fucking movie does. Day Shift I enjoy. I used it. John Wick 1, 2, and 3 I enjoy, but they used it. Seems like that's just sadly the typical thing. We'll never get back to Blood Squibs. But if I'm mad at this movie for it, then I would have to be mad at Day Shift with Jamie Foxx or John Wick 1, 2, or 3 for doing it. It seems like it's just never going to be the thing. But the other stuff seemed done fairly practical. The car chases, the car crashes. He like drives up on a guy and like gets him trapped with the car in the wall and like stabbing the guy. You have the car chase where he slides and does a nice slide and shoot, like these Will Smith and Bad Boys. This motorcycle guy that he grabs and slams right into a wall, a pavement. If you're going to do minimal, do it well. I think that's what I liked about it. Yeah, it's minimal compared to the old John Woo, but he did it well. Okay, I got a shotgun, blow up this car, beautiful looking explosion. He goes up this staircase, he's shooting bad guys, a lot of shotgun fun, nice work with the camera, people falling. It's not edited up half-assly, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. The fight he gets in with the guy that ends with that shot you see with a great head shot that comes out of the top of his fucking head. Would I have liked to have seen more? Yes, because I'm greedy for that type of stuff. I would like to have seen more. Then it ends with this crazy bitch getting some shots in. The crazy bitch girlfriend of our bad guy gets some shots in to our hero and the cop. Just, because they're not sure about shooting a lady, but at least she does get her comeuppance. And then our lead, spoilers, goes in. There's the bad guy. The bad guy's wounding him. But the cop wounds him. And then Joel Kinnaman chokes the shit out of him. Now, yes, it's not stabbing him, shooting him. But I actually don't mind that, because choking him is a pretty primal thing to do. And you see the guy, like, being more fearful. So maybe it's not as memorable visual-wise to kill him. But at least the guy doesn't die quick. I guess that's the way I put it. He didn't die quick. I even like the bit, like, people say it doesn't have style. I like the bit where he's choking and the guy's like having a party for himself, so and it's the Christmas season, so he has these ornaments around. Really cool looking room. And he looks and he sees his son's face in one of them. And he chokes the guy even more. And yes, him and the cop die of their wounds. But then you have this nice bit where the wife finds the letter, goes to the grave of their son. He reads the letter saying, pretty much apologizing to the wife. A part of me was lost when our son died, but I need to do something about it, even if I die trying. And while, yes, I would have preferred that he lived and get a second chance at life, so that's the other thing. It didn't make me as mad because A, he got his revenge. B, it did a nice job showing how broken he is. And his headspace was not on the right set. It's not some weird cutaway where you don't see him kill the bad guy like Death Sentence. It's not him causing the death of all these other people like inadvertently Kevin Bacon did in Death Sentence. The way it was done, where he's kind of sitting there and he's seeing like his son, and even an alternate future what would have happened. It seemed a bit easier to swallow, if that made sense. Him dying. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Chow Yun-fat's character died in The Killer, and I still like The Killer. So, it's not usually what I'm for. I mean, Roddy Piper dies in They Live, but I like They Live. Especially with that middle finger. Here, at least, he gets his go out. You go out in a good blaze of. It didn't feel as. I don't want to say it didn't feel downbeat, but it didn't feel as depressed. I don't know how else to put it. I thought it was done well enough the right way that I could deal with it. So yeah, I do think the pacing could have been tightened. I would have liked a bit more action. I felt the same with Death Wish 2018. I liked that film. Wish to have seen more action. But I liked what I saw. And honestly, this would be like a good double bill with Death Wish 2018 in this movie. That's kind of how I put it in there. I much prefer this over Mission Impossible 2, which I didn't care for. Wind Talkers. Manhunts was a piece of shit. Blackjack with Dolph Lundgren. Decent opening. The rest of it, Dolph's afraid of the color white. So he's afraid of milk in one scene. I did not hate the film. Like I said, I liked the gimmick. Joel Kinnaman really sold me on it. When the action occurred, it was, I thought, well directed. It's not... I'm not going to put this in the top 10 action films of all time, or even in my top 5 John Woo films. It'd be like Hard Target, Hard Boiled, Broken Arrow. I think Bull in the Head would be in there. Probably Paycheck would be in there. Because I like the story in that movie. I always thought that was underrated. But I don't think this film is as bad as people made it out to be. I just see, maybe watch it, you're expecting a bit more. I can understand that disappointment, maybe. But I don't know. I was happy enough with it. I did enjoy it. Like, if this is... I was satisfied with this movie. I was. And I had a good time with it. It'd be in my top 10 favorite list. Probably up there because, like I said, I did enjoy the experience with it. Like I said, I thought it was a good-looking movie, and I thought for the challenge he presented himself to tell a story with no dialogue, I thought John Woo did a pretty capable job with it. Are there improvements that could have been made? Yeah. But like I said, I don't think it's the fucking... as terrible as people made it out to be either. That's just me, though. Like I said, I think Joel Kinnaman and some of the nice action scenes in there and the look of the film is... Again, people are saying that it has no style. I'm like, all these like scene transitions, I don't know what they mean by that, but... If you mean not a lot of ballet gun... Okay, that wasn't what this movie was meant to be. But hey, that's fine. If I'm the one that enjoyed the film, whoop-de-doo. I'm fine with that. Kind of like Violent Night. I like Violent Night. Speaking of night, the good actor was in the finale. I probably say the first half of this I enjoyed more than the first half of Violent Night, although I did like Violent Night. But I like that'd also be a good double bill too. Violent Night and Silent Night. There you go. Both films I liked. Anyway, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later.